Welcome back. The Last of Us Part 2 just keeps going and going. We are still in our quest for vengeance, trying to find Abby. We are in Santa Barbara, California, looking for Abby. We've encountered this group called the Rattlers, so let's get into it. Jenny sending along some extra beef, grapefruit, and potatoes I just got. They've been impressed with how many strays I've captured and wanted to reward me. We're seeing the best crop we've had since we settled here. Please make sure my mom gets fatty cuts. She looked too skinny last time I saw her, Pat. I don't even think I ever got to, reload that, because that guy in the last one jumped down and scared me. Dinner. Why is she breathing so heavy? That looks like the other side of that gate. Yeah. Chained.
We're under attack! Come on, let's go!
Oh, okay. Took you guys a long time to join the party. Starting to run low. Man, there's a lot of them.
I think we got company. Todd,
no.
What was that?
Nothing.
Todd,
Why don't you come find out?
stray! Got a stray! Right here!
Jesus! Todd! Over here!
Damn it! Jesus Christ. Well, I might just die.
Here we go.
Let's do one more of those. I was just bad aim with this rifle. Why is that? Get my shotgun out. Do it. Come over here. How did that not kill you? That killed you. Sorry, Zach.
Oh, God!
Do it again. Those other two aren't budget, it looks like. Take that. And that.
All right.
Oops.
Over here!
Too high.
Don't let her get away!
Oh man, there's more back there. Yeah, I just have the two.
Mateo! Get around her! I found you!
Oh.
Right over here! She ducked over there! In the back!
It's not doing a lot of damage. That works. Oh man, starting to run low. I don't think that guy is wearing anything on his head.
Gotta keep the orders.
Cole! We're under attack!
Yeah, you already knew
Right
that.
there!
Not sure what I want to do at this point. No bueno. Damn it.
I'll go check it out.
You do that.
We're good.
No, I didn't want to do that. Change back.
Let's go check it out.
Well, that was dangerous.
Zach? He killed Zach! Down! That hurt. I'll see what's up.
Man, I don't like these ones wearing armor. Obviously, I mean, I'm not supposed to. I don't know where the other one is quite, but...
I think we've got her. I'm on it. Got you now! I'll kill you!
Where's the other one?
Let him go! Mateo!
Mateo!
You better start running!
Oh, let's turn that off. Turn that off again. Jesus Christ, there's a lot of them. God. There's a lot of them. And they've got armor and... Sure. Not where I'm going? Is that where... Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, I just want to come out here and see if there's anything else. Chicken? A whole chicken? I don't know if that's the best way to cook a whole chicken. Just throw it right on the grill like that, but... Why not? Oh. Alright, where were those stairs? Am I going crazy? I thought it was... back there. Oh my lord. Okay. I mean, no one was after me at the moment, but you never know. Cells. A skeleton? This music is making me uncomfortable. Ooh. Right on her wound, I'm pretty sure.
Kill her! Bitch! I got the key!
I locked the door.
The guns! Alright, come on, let's go!
Hey, where's Abby? She's bit!
Keep back!
Hey, don't put
She's
that fucking
bit?
thing in
Hey,
me!
hey! Abby tried to escape. She's down in the pillars.
The pillars?
Head down to the beach. You won't miss it. She's probably already dead. Come on!
What if she ends up being immune too? That would be a twist. Oh man, it's dark.
Where are you?
Won't let me get to my weapons. It's just... This is just what we're doing. Revolution! This reminds me of, you know, when Joel is injured in roughly the same spot.
To the beach.
Fire! I guess I can run. I wonder if I could have done that the whole time. Not very fast, but...
Holy.
Well, that's dark and icky. Okay, these guys are pretty
Abby?
messed up. That looks like her. Maybe not? Is there more? No? Yeah, that one, right? No? That one? Did they cut off her hair? No wonder I'm confused.
Please. It's you.
She's a little bit emaciated.
Abby. I got you. I got you. They're both this way.
Don't do it, Ellie. I just have to say, like, that wasn't a very good knot if as soon as Ellie cut her down, it came off of her hands, too. Like, she was not tied up very well. It's the boat from the main menu. I'm worried Abby's still gonna do something. I'm worried either one is gonna do something, because I don't want them to. God damn it.
I can't let you leave. I'm not doing this. No. I'm not gonna fight you. Yes, you will.
Oh my god, Ellie.
He's not a part of this. You made him a part of this. Okay. Okay.
Well, How long are they gonna make us do this?
No. Just take him.
Is she gonna... I thought she only got one finger. Apparently she got two. Still expecting more bad things to happen. She's not there anymore. I mean, I guess we would assume she's gone back to Jackson, I hope, but I have concerns about awful things. I don't know why, I just have to look in every room. I guess that was just a half bath. That's probably where we're going, so let's just look in here real quick. Okay. Is that all of Ellie's stuff? Oh no. How is she gonna be able to play? That it? Not quite.
Hey.
Was this after the dance?
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week. A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
I had Seth under control.
Yeah, I know.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
Okay. Dina. Is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
Okay, Dad.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
Still does matter.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
Yeah. I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
word like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
Don't mind me. So I'm gonna cry while these credits roll, and then we'll talk about it after.
just a poor wayfaring stranger traveling through this world of woe. There is no sickness, no toil nor danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my mother. She said she'd meet me when I come. I'm just a-going over Jordan. I'm just a-going over home. I know dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is rough and steep, but beauteous fields lie just before me, where God's redeemed their vigils keep. I'm going there to see my father. I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm just a-going over Jordan. I'm just a-going over home.
This body red in the old churchyard. I'll drop this cross of self-denial and go singing home to God. I'm going there to see my Savior. I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm just a going over Jordan. I'm just a going over home. I'm just a going over Jordan. I'm just a going over home. I'm just a going.
So, I'm obviously filming this at a different time from when I actually finished the game. As I was going through listening to myself share my final thoughts at the end, I realized that there were some things I was surprised I didn't even touch on, some major events in the game that I didn't talk about at all. And so I'm coming back to film a little bit more because I want to talk about those things. Whether or not people want to listen is up to them. I want to talk about them. So I'm going to go through, I wanted to leave my initial final thoughts intact, just have my true initial reaction from the end of my playthrough in the video. So I'm going to play that section, those sections, and I'm going to react to the things I say, because not only were there some things I didn't want to talk about, but there's some things that I've had more time to obviously think about. I've since played through the game again, and you know, I've formed different or more solid opinions of things, and I've read a lot on the internet because that's what I do because I'm a nerd, and you know, hearing other people's perspectives helps inform my opinions about the game moving forward. And so I just want to address some things I may have changed my mind on, and maybe I haven't changed my mind on all of them. So I'm gonna go through and address them as they come up and intersplice all of this. And then after I go through that, I'm going to just talk about some of the things that I missed that I wanted to talk about. So let's put in my initial reaction. So let's get started with that. So that was it. That was The Last of Us Part 2. I'm processing. I'm going to be processing for a while. What a journey that was. You know, I mean, so let's start by saying I didn't want them to kill Joel, and no one did. He's a well-loved character. Like, why would anyone want that to happen? But I also didn't want them to from a storytelling perspective, because I said it a while back, like it feels overdone. It feels anymore like it's just a cheap, easy way to get an emotional response, to give motivation to your character. And I felt that way the whole game until that last scene where, you know, you saw it on the porch there, her last conversation with Joel. Like, I I wish they could have done something different, but like I guess I can say I get it. It clicked a lot of things, I think, for me at least. You know, I was struggling with Ellie's character arc. Like, she was such a bright, hopeful character in the first game. I keep thinking there's a note in Billstown, and after Joel, I don't remember what the note says, but after Joel reads it, Ellie says, "Do you think they ever found each other?" And he's like, "Well, how the hell would I know?" And she's like, "Well, I'd like to think they did." Just like that kind of optimism, trying to find all the good things in the world and believe the best. And to see that totally turn around to where, like, she thinks, like, when we get to Seattle and she's reading these notes and they're finding out about all these events that happen and awful things that happen to people, and she's like, well, they deserved it and that's what they get, kind of an attitude. It was such a 180. And not only that, but just the hardcore, like, I don't care about anything but getting vengeance on these people. It didn't ring true for me until seeing that last conversation with Joel, you know, where she's finally, like, in her mind, like, she's trying to move past what happened, and it gets taken from her so abruptly. She didn't have any time to rebuild her relationship with Joel, so it clicked for me. It really made sense more why she was so hardcore, like, I'm gonna kill Abby, like, she destroyed this for me. So in, like, the worst possible way, that ending was really satisfying for me personally. I still wish they could have done a story where they didn't kill Joel, but it's crazy for me personally, like I already said, but like the whole story, like, it's just like, I just don't, like, I'm enjoying the game and like there's interesting stuff going on, but it's just not resonating. Like, I didn't feel like the story was resonating like the first game did until that final moment. And that final moment, I would like to say it makes it all worth it, but like, I did struggle with some of the beats in the story. Like, I can't lie, but it just, as a whole, I guess it kind of sort of makes it worth it. Was not expecting that at all. So to go back, I kind of rambled there at the end, but to go back to talking about Ellie's motivation for the whole journey in this game, you know, I as I've had more time to think about it and I've read some different things on the internet, I think I've realized that I very much underestimated the depth of her survivor's guilt. And I think that plays a lot into her motivation. And as far as like the way that she's starting to perceive the world differently than, you know, what I was talking about in the first game, where she seemed so bright and hopeful and wanted to believe the best in people. And in this game, she's like, everybody's awful and they deserve what they get. I think, you know, on some level, I kind of wonder if that was her trying to reconcile the fact that, like, she couldn't save the world, and so she's trying to tell herself that, you know, these people aren't worth saving. Maybe that's just my interpretation, but as I've thought about it, it makes a lot of sense to me. You know, because she's got a lot of guilt over that, and she's got a lot of guilt over Joel's death, because, you know, the 2 years that she punished him for lying to her, and tying the two together, it's like she's got to make up for both in a way, or rather, she's trying to make up for what she did with Joel, and she's trying to null out the fact that she couldn't be the cure for mankind. I mean, that's, other people have put it more eloquently than me, but that's kind of the perception I'm getting. So as my cat cries, I'm going to continue. But I have some notes of some other things I wanted to talk about, so I might refer to those. But I want to say, you know, up until that last moment, and it was probably because we spent the majority of the second half of the game playing as Abby, but I was starting to feel like the game was about Abby's story, you know, and it's like, this is supposed to be about Ellie and Joel. And then we finally got that at the end, and it was about Ellie and Joel, but we had to spend a lot of time with Abby, and I just couldn't connect with her character. I don't hate her, even though she killed Joel. Like, I don't hate her character. I don't think she's the worst person ever, but I didn't like her that much until that last bit in California with Lev. Like, I really liked how she was kind of getting her light back. I really liked that. But, you know, and the other former Fireflies, I didn't like any of them. I hated Owen. I didn't like him. I didn't really care for Manny. I didn't like... Mel probably was, like, the least worst for me. Probably because she wasn't quite so cynical as the rest of them. But so to have to spend all this time with these characters that I just didn't care about was kind of a struggle, but at least the gameplay was really solid. So, yeah, I just couldn't get on board with those characters. I did, however, though, really like Yara and Lev, and as you know, I'm really pissed that they killed Yara. So there's that. So at least I got to spend time with those two characters while playing as Abby, with two characters I liked pretty well. So I still stand by most of what I just said there. I still don't really have any attachment to all of the side characters that are in Abby's section of the game. I still really don't like Owen. I'm never going to. I just don't like him. I think he's a selfish shit. And I think it's weird because they tried really hard to present him as like this super open, giving guy who just wants a better life. And maybe that's true in a way, but like, I think he's selfish. So I still don't like Owen. I like Abby a little bit more than I did the first time around. She's still not my favorite, but like, I'm okay with her. I'm at peace with her, you know. And I like I said here, like I didn't hate her at the end of it, but you know, Manny seemed very superficial, and Nora, I might have been more okay with her, but like the fact that she called Joel a little bitch bothers me. And I get it, she said it to get the reaction that she got out of Ellie, which ultimately ended up in her death, but I get why she said it, but it, you know, and like she doesn't have a big part either. Mel is still, in my opinion, the best out of all the side characters, which is funny because a lot of people hate her. And I never hated her. I never had a problem with her. I don't know. She's not my favorite, but she's there, and I don't think about her a whole lot, and it's probably just a really big indifference is what I feel towards her, which is the best I could hope for with that group of characters. And I feel like there's another one. Those are the big ones, because like Jordan had like 2 sections that he was in, and that was it, and he was just a jerk like each time we saw him. And who else was there? Yeah, I think that covers it, really. Nick, and there's someone else. I don't need to name them all. It's fine. So let's move on. And while we're talking about Abby, one thing, you know, I thought was interesting, when you have the fight in the theater, and like she's like, I thought they were gonna make me kill Ellie as Abby. I thought 100% that was going down right there, and it didn't, fortunately. But, you know, when she's gonna slit Dina's throat, and, you know, Ellie says she's pregnant, she says good, and it's like, yeah, Mel was pregnant, and now we're gonna see retribution, I guess, however you consider that. And then, you know, Lev busts in, and that kind of brings her back. I thought that was interesting, and to me, you know, like, we'd just seen her go on this path where she's starting to try and change her perspective. Like, we went through those nightmare sequences with her where she runs down the hallway in the hospital and she finds her father dead. And then we had that last, it wasn't really a nightmare anymore, it was a dream, and she just kind of jogs down the hallway and her father's there standing, and so like her dreams are changing, which, you know, I assume is to signify like she's getting some of her light back. She's kind of maybe going to start recovering from her trauma, and obviously that's very tied to the relationship she just built with Lev that she's known for like a day. And so going back to the theater scene, you know, like it was obvious the connections they were making there with the dreams and everything, but at that moment when Lev busts in and she decides not to kill Dina and stops, like I was just like, was she really far enough on her journey yet for that to have been enough? I don't know. I don't know. But I guess the writers decided that that was the case. So I thought that was weird, personally. But, so I wanted to touch on that. Alright, so to address this one, it's something else I've thought about a lot, because it really bothered me at the time. It was like, really? Like, that's all it took for her to stop? Like, this is the same woman who just, I don't know what the timeline is, but maybe a few months ago tortured and killed Joel. But as I've thought about it more, like, yeah, she only knew Yara and Lev for a couple days before this sequence, but it's been obvious, if you pay attention through her arc in the game, that since killing Joel, she has seen these, her relationships. I mean, and even before, we saw her relationship with, like, Owen in particular deteriorating. And so, and she's having these nightmares, and she's obviously trying to figure out how to find a change. And so I think, something that didn't occur to me at the time, that she was kind of on this path before she met Yara and Lev. Like, she's still kind of just going through the motions and doing what she's supposed to do with the WLF, but she's obviously internally, it seems like, been having this struggle of like, I didn't find my peace, this didn't make me feel better, what will make me feel better? And then when she finally finds it in helping Yara and Lev, I think it makes sense that in that moment in the theater when Lev shows up, it's a reminder of like, hey, do you really want to go back to that? It wasn't so much Lev himself, it wasn't that relationship, but it was the reminder of like, you've been trying to figure this out, don't blow it now. So that makes more sense to me the more time I've had to think about it. So let me look at my notes here real quick. Let's see. So I think, I wanted to say, on that same kind of thread, we had that flashback with with Abby's father, where we find out he was a surgeon, and it was obvious they were trying to show the relationship between him and Abby, that Abby had with him, and I didn't feel like the super strong father-daughter bond personally, and so also, with that being said, it made it also feel like not super believable for me that Abby would want to go and torture someone who killed him, but that's just me personally. Just wanted to put that out there. Still don't like her dad. I think he's a dick on subsequent playthroughs. I've never warmed up to him. To me, he just seems kind of aloof and kind of just like mentally absent. He's too wrapped up in his own stuff. So I stand by that I don't feel like he was super close with Abby. But on that, note, maybe that was part of her drive, is that, she really wanted to be able to get to know her dad and be closer with him, and she never got to. So, I don't know. But yeah, I don't like Jerry. He's a butthole. I don't care that he saved a zebra. That seemed very contrived to try and make him seem like a great guy. So, but that's just me. Alright, moving on. Let me see, what else do I need to talk about? I wanted to talk about how heavy-handed the themes are. Like, it's very obvious what they're trying to go for with this game. There's, the cycle of violence. Like, Joel killed her father, so Abby comes back and kills Joel, so Ellie wants to go back and kill Abby. It's this very obvious what they're getting at. Like, this is bad. Like, violence just leads to more violence. And isolationism, that was very heavy-handed. Like, well, I only care about my people, and we're going to kill everyone that's not one of us. Like, that's, it's very obvious, like, they're trying to say, like, this is bad. And what was the other thing? Like, vengeance versus justice, right? Like, what is vengeance versus justice? Hey, maybe revenge is not a good thing. Like, it's very much like revenge, bad, isolationism, bad, cycle of violence, bad. Like, very heavy-handed, but that like, those were the themes of the game. Like, we're all in agreement, right? So just to address that real quick, as I'm addressing all these things, that's not totally a fair point that I made. I feel like those are like the big general themes of the world that they live in, or in the world we even live in, right? But I think that the big themes are more character driven in this game. I think the bigger theme is, well, not theme, I think there's several themes, and those are some of them, but there's also guilt and forgiveness and hell, I lost my train of thought. Obsession. That's the one I was trying to think of. I think obsession is a big one. I know, I've listened to a lot of interviews, and I know that that's something that Troy Baker in particular has said, obsession will cost you everything, and I think that is a great theme that's going on in this game. But yeah, so guilt, forgiveness, obsession. You know, it's obvious that guilt is a big driver for Ellie. And when we talk about forgiveness, not necessarily forgiving those who have wronged you, but even just forgiving yourself. And then obsession is the obvious one. It costs both Abby and Ellie pretty much everything, aside from, you know, their own lives. But it cost everyone around them, and then some. So there's actually a lot of themes in this game. And I feel like when I initially said that, I feel like I kind of dumbed it down a lot. So I just wanted to talk about that. And then I think I just, you know, I was thinking the whole game, like as I'm sure everyone did, like I wanted more Ellie and Joel. I wanted more depth in their backstory in the time between where we left the first game and where we started this one. Like I wanted to see more. The flashback when Ellie ran away to go check out the Salt Lake Hospital looking for answers, and then Joel finally, he catches up with her and he finally tells her the truth. Like, that was so short, in my opinion. Like, I feel like there should have been more things that Ellie had to say at that point. I don't know, but it is what it is. But I would have loved that to have been fleshed out a little bit more. But it is what it is. But I was feeling that way, but like, and I would have liked to have seen more, but they did, when they came back with that, again, that last scene where she says, like, she wants to try and work on forgiving him, that kind of tied it all together and made that thread feel satisfying, which it really is, I guess, the thread through the game. That was the whole point of the story, right? So, I still would have liked to have had more Ellie and Joel, but, I mean, maybe that would have been a little bit too much of fan service, right? But to talk about that flashback again, the hospital flashback, where Joel tells her the truth, talking about that one a lot. You know, the more time I've had to think about it, as with all these things, I've changed my mind on that. I feel like it's, you know, more true to the characters the way it happened. I don't think, like, 100% Joel, and I never questioned this part of it, but 100% that's how Joel would have addressed it, just as short and succinct as he did. Like, it was going to kill you, so I stopped them. Like, he knows he doesn't need to say more than that for the meaning to be there. As far as Ellie, you know, like I said, I thought she'd have more to say about it, but like, I think it makes sense now that she didn't like ask questions or say anything else in that moment, because she wasn't ready to hear it. She wasn't ready to have those conversations with him. She needed to be mad. I mean, maybe needed's not the right word, but, you know, she's 17 years old. That's how she felt. She was mad, and it wasn't the time. She got the truth, and she felt betrayed. And so she doesn't have the time for it at that moment. So I've changed my mind on that. Makes me sad, but I think it was just, you know, wishful thinking of that fan service of like, hey, we need more Ellie and Joel. They need to hash it out and talk about their feelings, and that's just not really who these characters are. So, there's probably a ton more. That hits what I really wanted to talk about. There's probably a ton more things I want to say about the story that I'll think of later. But this is what I can think of in the moment. I do have one final thing to say, not about the story, but just the gameplay. Oh man, the gameplay is stellar, just on point. Like, it felt so good, and it was hard. It was so hard. Like, those human enemies, the AI, like, they are good, and like, I look forward to trying to get better so I can spend a little bit more time in some areas that I just ran through because I kept dying. So I just, like, the new technology they're using, like, I've heard them talk about it in interviews and stuff, like the motion matching or whatever, like, looks at, like, everything that they do just looks so fluid, and I love it so much. Like, just the gameplay alone makes this game amazing, and the story, is, I can see people, I can see why anyone would love it or hate it. I can't say I'm on either camp. I'll just say I get it. I get why they did this story. It just sucks because how would you do a sequel from that? We're probably done with The Last of Us. So anyways, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Those are my final thoughts. It was a journey, and I am looking forward to just jumping right back in from the beginning and doing this all over again. So, if you join me for this journey, I hope you enjoyed it, and join me next time. I've got a game lined up, and you'll see what that is when I play it, so join me then. Alright, so now that I've got all that out of the way, let's talk about the things I didn't address at all, that I really wanted to, that I totally forgot after I finished this game. And some of the stuff, I kind of am surprised I didn't say anything in the moment. I'm going to try and make this as cohesive as possible, but as the human brain works, thoughts get scattered and out of order, so yeah, I'll do my best. I make no promises. So let's just talk about, first off, like, it's kind of cheesy, but like, they said when, leading, like, all the marketing and the years leading up to the release of this game, they said, like, they named it Part 2 for a reason. Like, this is a continuation of Part 1. It's not just a sequel, it is a continuation of the story. And I agree. I agree with that sentiment, because everything that happens in this second game is 100% a consequence of what Joel did at the end of the first game. Everything that Abby does and everything that Ellie does ultimately is a consequence of Joel's actions. And, it's... I didn't address it as I said it here, but, I said, like, when I was playing through Abby's section, I felt like it was like, this is Abby's game now, and, like, really, like, Joel, like, if you really get down to it, Joel is still the thread through all of it, even through Abby's story, because what he did to her father rather, is what created the way her life has turned, completely and entirely. So I think I love that they did that, and it, from the storytelling standpoint, like I said before, where, like, I didn't want them to kill Joel from that just as, like, a cheap way to find motivation, but it really makes sense as a consequence to what he did there. Like, and he said to Marlene at the end of the first game, like, he kills her because he's like, you would just come after her. And I remember thinking in that moment, like, well, what's to stop the other ones from coming after Ellie? And that's not really what happened, they disbanded and gave up on the idea of a cure because, according to them, Jerry was the only one who could do it, and he's dead. But I actually, for the lead up to this game, I actually really was expecting the Fireflies to be a major part of it because no one talked about them. And Naughty Dog are great liars and misdirectors, and so the fact that they were showing off the Seraphites was, to me, obvious misdirection of like, look, there's this new creepy cult, and what did they do? And like, they didn't do anything. They're just there. They're just a faction to fight through. And I actually thought that was going to be the case pretty much from the moment they were introduced. Like, they're just another group in wherever we're playing, you know, which we maybe initially didn't know was Seattle, but people figured it out pretty fast. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But so it made me actually really happy that they were Fireflies. I felt really satisfied that I was smart enough to think that the Fireflies were going to have something to do with it, even if they are ex-Fireflies. However, I've since learned that that was not the original plan. Originally, they were going to have Abby be like just a kid of a group of people who were in like a caravan that Joel killed her parents when he was in his hunter days before settling in Boston. But that's okay. But, you know, I'm glad they didn't do that because it does make so much sense that that the Fireflies were another big threat in this. So, and, you know, while I'm talking about that, it's something I never talked about actually at the end of my playthrough of the first game, that I'm kind of surprised they didn't mention, but like I didn't really talk about my opinion on Joel saving Ellie, because that was the big controversy, the big dividing thing on what people thought was the right thing to do. When I played it, like, I was 100% on board with saving Ellie. Like, I love her as a character. I loved her in the first game, and as soon as it was like, oh, it's going to kill her, like, I thought that maybe, I mean, before you know it, like, I thought maybe he was gonna, like, they were gonna kill her and he was gonna leave and it was gonna suck and that was gonna be the end of it. But then when it was like, no, Joel's gonna fight these people and go get her, it was like, yeah, like, let's go get her. Like, let's not just let her die. This is stupid. And then when I started hearing things on the internet where people were like, oh my gosh, like, Joel's the bad guy. And like, he's not a good guy. For sure, and that's the point, is the moral ambiguity, but I don't think it's the people who just think he's straight up a bad guy because like he prevented this cure. Like, I totally disagree with, even now, having heard so many different viewpoints and things people have to say about it, like, I am of the opinion that like you can't, well, first off, I think I did talk about this before, but no one asked Ellie what she wanted. You know, like, you can't sacrifice someone and take away their freedom in that choice and say that you're saving people, because then, like, what's to stop you from sacrificing others' freedom in the name of it? And that's kind of a really broad thing to apply to it, but like, I've always had issue with that, of like, no one asked Ellie what she wanted. Joel didn't, and the Fireflies didn't, so like, they're both kind of in the wrong for that. And even taking that out of the equation, just sacrificing her in general for a cure that may or may not work. And I've seen people very stubbornly say that, I think like Neil Druckmann, who has supposedly said, like, in this universe the cure would have worked. They would have been able to make it and it was a for sure thing. But like, I know he's like the creator of The Last of Us, but like, I don't feel like that's really a fair thing to say. Like, they've never done it before. It's a theory, and it might be a very strong theory, and everything around it might be sound, and you could be totally 100% certain like your theory is sound and will work. But I still think, with if you're asking the moral question of like, do you sacrifice one, I think you have to go with the for sure, like the for sure thing, the right thing that we know 100% as opposed to a theory. You can't do a definite versus a maybe, and the cure was a maybe, whereas saving Ellie was a definite. And now that doesn't necessarily justify killing a bunch of people to get her and save her, but taking all of that out of the equation, in my mind, it's 100% like, no, you save Ellie. That's the only option there is there. Like, you don't kill her. And then if she wanted to make, if someone had actually asked her and wanted to give her the choice, I mean, that kind of adds another layer to it. But since that wasn't what happened, that is my take on it. So, having said all that, I was surprised to find out in this second game that Ellie was, apparently willing to die for it, even knowing that no one asked her and that's just what they were going to do. She was still okay with it. And I guess it could be said that, throughout the course of the first game, she probably made up in her mind, like, this is me, this is the meaning in my life, this is what I meant to do. And so that's why she never, I guess, lost that resolve. She had a whole year to reconcile with that. And so that, knowing that now, like, tie back into, like, I totally underestimated her survivor's guilt. Because obviously she, I think, really tied that to her self-identity and her self-worth, honestly. And by taking that away from her, by Joel taking that from her, that's why she's so mad about it, because it was like, this is, and like, it's obvious at the end of the game, like, my life would have fucking mattered. Like, that's the only value she's ever assigned to herself. And she didn't seem to understand that her life could and does have value beyond that, and that other people might value her. And I guess it would be hard if you grew up in the world that they did, where, like, everyone she's ever, as she puts it, everyone she's ever loved has either died or left her. There's been no one permanent in her life, so it must be hard to realize your self-worth and value in that situation outside of having some greater meaning towards saving mankind. So, so knowing all that, I guess it makes more sense that she was so mad at Joel for such a long time, even if it was, obviously it wasn't good, but it makes a little bit more sense. But, and it, I guess we'll tie it back into, that's part of the driving factor for her wanting to get revenge so hard, because not only was her chance to reconcile with Joel taken from her, but, like, in a way, like, that moment where they did kind of have that moment, she was starting to find that other meaning, because Joel valued her life and said, like, I would do it all over again. Like, you're more important than just that, at least to him. And he's taken from her, so now this person who's given her life meaning again is taken from her, and she hasn't quite learned how to assign the value to herself for herself. So, I don't know, maybe that's a little out there, and obviously that's just my interpretation, but so getting into the vengeance mission, I didn't quite address it. Well, I didn't address it at all, actually. I was never on board with it. I was never on board with wanting to go after Abby. Like, we just saw her brutally, and we didn't really actually see it happen, but she brutally tortures and murders a man, and, like, do we really want Ellie to go do that? Like, no, not really. Like, I don't want her to become this person, because that's exactly what's going to happen. But because A, I love Ellie, and B, I wanted a game to play, of course I'm going to go with her and go do it. But it was, like I said, like, I loved her in the first game a lot. I actually liked her more than Joel. And so to see her, like, go on this path, she wasn't very likable this game for a lot of the game. And it was hard. And I I didn't really talk about it during the game. I kept thinking it, and I just didn't talk about it. But like, it was hard. It was like, you are not being a good person. You're not being good to the people you supposedly care about, and that's the point. You know, the point is that and like the way that the developers have described it is like the reason they made Joel's death so brutal was to get you on board with the quest of like, they want you to be angry too. Like, yeah, like I want to go get vengeance and justice. I want that. And so I wasn't there in the first place. But the point is, you're supposed to be on board. And then as you start seeing the more awful things that she does, you're supposed to start to get off board a little bit and be like, whoa, you're taking this way too far. That's my understanding of the intention there. And as someone who wasn't really on board in the first place, it was easy for me to be like, yeah, this is getting bad. This is getting bad fast. You know, especially like the very, I mean, the first thing, if nothing else, if I say I had been on board to begin with, the first thing that's pretty bad is once it comes out that Dina's pregnant, like it should have been an immediate like, all right, we need to leave. Like, this is not okay. That should have happened immediately. And it was obvious that was there to show what obsessed minds are like, hey, this is a person you care about and they are really not doing well. Like, so that was obviously there to show like how laser focused she was on this one thing and how she was already willing to start sacrificing those she cared about for it. You know, they didn't even talk about turning back until Jesse showed up. That's messed up. You know, like, it's weird, like, because when Ellie and Dina have the conversation about the fact that she's pregnant, you know, and Ellie asks her when she knew, and I don't know, she's something around Boise or something, but, you know, Ellie was like, well, we could have turned back at that point. And it's like, well, you can turn back now. I know you just got here, but like, more important things to think about. And then skipping forward a little bit, and then we see, well, when she goes after, I think it was when she goes after Nora, and it's just, there's so many little subtle things in like the body language. There's so few words said, but like so much is said without being said. Like when Dina, you know, tells her that Nora's going to be at the hospital or whatever, and Ellie's going to go after her. I think this was the moment, and Dina's going to say something about it, and Ellie's like, what? And Dina says, nothing, and Ellie says, good. Like, holy shit, you're being a dick right now. Anyways, but then just getting a little tangent there, but really what I'm talking about, like getting into when she actually finds Nora, and like that whole sequence, and I kind of said it, but like that whole sequence was so bad. Ellie was so caught up in her emotions. She made dumb decision after dumb decision. And like, I was super not okay with what she was doing. Like, she first off, she absolutely gave Nora, like, I think I said this already, she gave Nora absolutely 100% the reaction she wanted when she called Joel a little bitch. Because she wanted to get that emotional reaction, and Ellie gave it to her. And, you know, that set off the chase, and she's chasing after Nora, and I just, in my head, as I'm running after her playing the game, it was like, this is so bad. Like, I shouldn't be running after Nora. Like, you're going to get yourself killed. This is so stupid. This hospital is full of WLF. And, you know, it was so bad. And then you get down in the lower levels, and you finally get to Nora, and she's infected. And then the whole, like, you know, she's going to torture her to get information out of her, and you have to push square to torture her. Like, it wasn't... I said it like, oh, they're going to make me do it. And it's like, yeah, I'm not really on board with this entirely. But here we are. And like, it was obvious at that point, like, she was, in her mind, she was doing what she thought Joel would do. And she's not Joel. and she doesn't really truly understand what Joel would do or why he would do it. And yeah, Joel tortured people for information in the past, but it was very, I don't know if it was, I can't think of how I want to say it. It was more of a utility, whereas with Ellie it's just emotion. But, and then moving forward, again, like, her and Jesse are going to get Tommy, and I knew what, like, her and Jesse have the conversation in the theater. I said Jesse, right? Her and Jesse have the conversation in the theater, and he's saying, like, we need to take Dina back, and she's like, well, Tommy, and it's like, she's obviously just making excuses, because, like, she's not going back. She doesn't want to go back. She's got to get Abby before she can go back. Which, again, just adding to the shittiness of, like, you should have taken Dina back a long time ago. Well, I mean, they've only really been there for a couple days, but still, like, you already should have been heading back. And so, you know, Jesse says, like, all right, let's go get Tommy. And then they get information on where Tommy is, and they split, you know, because Ellie's like, no, like, we need to go to the theater, because that's where or not the theater, we need to go to the aquarium, because that's where Tommy's going to go, because that's where Abby is. Like, that was messed up. And I really hated that she jumped in the water and got me in that situation. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is, like, that was messed up. Like, you know that these guys are going after Tommy, and you're fucking off the other way. Not cool. And then to the last thing that happens when they're in Seattle that she does, you know, the whole thing with Owen and Mel, again, she was trying to be Joel. She learned, you know, the tactic, like, when you got two people, you interrogate them, but it's like, from the beginning, it was very obvious she did not have control of that situation. She was, again, running off of emotion, and, you know, it's like, you don't have either of these people restrained in any kind of a way. You're very emotional, you're very hot-headed about this, and you're letting them get to you. And so, I like, it was very obvious that, like, she was going to lose control of that situation very fast, and she did. And then she killed him, and, like, it was self-defense technically, but, like, she's the one who busted in there, and, like, you know, that, honestly, like, that self-defense didn't bother me as much as chasing after Nora, like, because it wasn't, the thing with Nora was super deliberate, whereas these two, you know, I mean, she very deliberately went there, but it was just different circumstances. But point being, so, like, so those are all the big beats where it's like, you're not supposed to like what she's doing. And I didn't like what she was doing, and, like, it was like, she's not likable. But that's the point. She's not supposed to be likable. You are supposed to 100% not be on board by this point. And, you know, you're not, it's like, you know, as someone who loved Ellie, like, it's like watching someone that you know and love make awful choices, and you can't do anything to stop them. You see it, and you don't like it, but they just won't listen to you, and they just continue, like, because we've all had it. We've all had someone in our life, right, who makes awful, terrible choices that we really have major issue with, and they do it anyways. Because everyone, and we've all made awful choices and forced people to watch us make those awful choices. It's happened. But I think 100% that for most of the game, you're not supposed to like Ellie. She is not likable. And it doesn't really make it a whole lot better, but as far as, like, the Tommy thing goes, like, leaving Tommy out to dry, she does kind of, in a very small way, own up to it. You know, just before Abby shows up at the theater, her and Ellie and Jesse are talking, you know, and she says, like, thanks for coming after me, and Jesse says, my friend's problems are my problems, and she says, you're such a sap. And he says, you know, like, okay, how about my friends can't get out of their own damn way, or something like that, and she says, that's better. And, like, I think that's all the more you're going to get, because, again, it's very subtle like, you know, the game, the characters are not going to spell it out for you. There's not big, long, written out monologues or whatever to tell you every character's motivation. But to me, in that moment, it was like she realizes how bad she fucked up. She knows that that was really messed up, that she did that, and she regrets it. But we don't have time to see any more acknowledgement of that because Abby busts in. And so, like, it doesn't make up for it in the least at all. But she does know she messed up big time. So, and then there's another big moment that we're not supposed to like, and I'll get to that. I guess I'm trying to go chronological as best as I can with this game. So, so I kind of already talked about the confrontation at the theater, which was really more about Abby than it was about Ellie. So, like, I don't feel the need to talk about that. But, so immediately after that, we're on the farm, right? And I never talked about that. I never talked about the farm. I'm surprised that I didn't. But the farm was, like, and I know I said it when I played it, like one of the first things I said was Ellie looks sad and tired. Like, and to me, it was very evident immediately that, like, things weren't okay there. And I've read a lot of things on the internet since, like, a lot of people were like, oh, like, they were so happy, like, why couldn't they have just had a happy ending there? And it's like, things were, how did you not pick up that things were super off? Like, Ellie was not okay. Like I said, you could see it in her face, and, like, she looked pretty thin, like she wasn't eating well, and it seemed very obvious to me that, like, Dina was trying so hard to hold it all together and was so stressed and so ill-equipped to handle Ellie's PTSD, but doing the best she possibly could. Like, it just immediately, as soon as we were dropped into that, it was like, this feels wrong. And I couldn't put my finger on, you know, all of it, but it's like, this just feels wrong. And so, it made sense to me that Ellie left. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, and then Tommy, you know, shows up, and, like, Tommy was a dick. And I had a little bit of issue with, like, his personality change, but you know, again, the writers don't spell everything out for you. You kind of have to connect the dots yourself. And, like, Tommy lost a lot. He lost his brother first and foremost, and he lost one of his eyes, and he's got a limp. He can't help his community the way he used to, and as such, you know, whatever conversations him and Maria had when he got back, he's lost his wife, his marriage is ruined. And something else that is a thing is people who suffer head injuries frequently have personality changes. So it's open to interpretation, but for me, like, that makes the most sense to me, where it's like, I think that Tommy is an angry, bitter shell of his former self, because, partially at least, because he got that head injury by getting shot in the head. So, but, like, he was, that whole sequence where he, you know, tries to convince Ellie to go after Abby based on this rumor that she's in Santa Barbara. It's just like, you know, I kind of said it there, but it's like, you are sad. You are a sad person now. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but it's like, Tommy is not who he was, and it's really sad and unfortunate, and he's just not a good person anymore. It happens, but so moving forward now, so then Ellie decides to leave, right? And it was very obvious on my playthrough that, like, I didn't want her to go. Like, I never wanted her to go on a revenge journey in the first place, and she can't let it go. And, like, even though I didn't want her to go, I understand why she did. I don't think it's okay that she did, but like she's obviously mentally unwell. She's mentally ill. She's suffering PTSD, and I don't know what else. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know. But she's obviously not right. She is sick in a way. And so, you know, in her mind, the only way to make it better is to kill Abby. And so I am of the firm opinion that because of the world that they live in, there wasn't really another option for her. She couldn't go and see a psychiatrist because they don't have those anymore. And, you know, it's not fair to the people around her either. It wasn't fair to Dina, what she, you know, how much she was having to go through to try and hold their family together. So, like, she needed to go. And she does go. And it sucks, and I hated that she did, but it needed to happen. So skipping through all of that Santa Barbara stuff and just straight to the beach fight, like, I hated that she threatened Lev and that she just couldn't let it go. But that being said, I feel like she needed to get to that point with Abby where she had her. You know, they had a fair fight, if you can call it that. You know, Abby's been emaciated and Ellie's got her side wound, so I guess that evens the odds a little bit. But, you know, so they had this fight and she's got her. She's finally bested her. And in my opinion, she needed to see the futility in that moment. You know, it's very obvious, like, you know, she's got her, she's drowning her, and like you can just see the tears pouring down Ellie's face because she realizes, like, this is not, I'm not getting anything from this. I'm not getting any release. And just a little side note, I feel like they could have done that without the flash of Joel on the porch with a guitar. I think that was unnecessary because we pretty quickly get to that flashback anyways, but that's neither here nor there. But, like, you know, I think she needed to see up close and personal that doing this deed would not make anything better, and it might actually make things worse. So I don't think that it would cure her PTSD, but I think it's going to help her move forward and figure out how to do that. So I think there's a lot of people who don't like that section of the game and don't think that it was necessary to have her go out again, but I think it 100% was. I think she needed that to be able to let go. And I don't think she forgives Abby. I just think she realizes that it won't change anything. It won't make her feel better. It won't fix her head. So she needed to do it. And yeah. So that brings us, I guess, to the end. And we can see that she's lost everything. She, you know, Jesse died. Tommy is not who he was. And Dina is gone. I hope back to Jackson. That would make the most sense, right? And she's lost her 2 fingers. She can't play the guitar anymore. She's in, you know, I mean, she kind of can, but she's lost this gift that Joel gave her because she gave in to this obsession and couldn't let it go. And I'm not sure what point I'm trying to get to, but, you know, she pretty much loses whatever she had. But I like to think, I'm not going to talk about the porch scene because we already talked about that. I think I said what I needed to say about that because I'll just say now that, like, it clicks everything together so well, in my opinion. And that was, in my opinion, the right place for that. Some people think it should have happened sooner, but I think to get that at the very end has the most impact, to get that revelation as the last thing you see in that game before she walks away to whatever purpose she tries to find in her life. So, yeah. So those are the things I think about all of those different things. I'll probably think of more stuff I wish I would have included, but I've already turned this into something that's really, really long. I had a lot of things to say. I wish I had a better way to wrap it all up. You know, I'll just go back and say again, like, I absolutely feel like the two games together do make a greater whole of a story, because ultimately this was all about Joel and what he caused with his decision that I still 100% agree with him. Like, I'd do it all over again. I think that was the right choice. It's just other people made poor choices after because of it. So, but yeah, I guess actually I think the last thing I'll say is, you know, I initially said, like, I can't say if I love or hate this game. I just say that I get it. And having spent more time thinking about it and playing through it again, I think maybe this is a cop-out, but I'll say that I love it and I hate it. I hate that, you know, a character that I love so much became this awful person. But, like, I love the way the story was told, and I love the way that the characters are written and the nuance in the way that, you know, certain things are communicated or not, you know, like very subtly communicated. Like, you have to pay attention. But, and I still get it. I love it and I hate it and I get it. It was very good. I think I don't know which one I like more, but it was a great journey, and I wish I could blank out my mind and experience it all over again. But I'm rambling, so if you listen to all this, thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of my weird little analysis that I just decided I needed to have. So I need a little bit of catharsis after having so much time thinking about this, so I just needed to talk that all out. So that's it. That's The Last of Us Part 2, and join me next time for whatever games I play, and maybe we'll find something else to dig super deep and discuss, but next game's going to be an awful horror game, so have fun with that. Okay, bye.